Hello, drum fans. Welcome back again to Inner Sanctum Studios. Get my camera fixed a little bit here. That should work. Yeah, welcome back. I just wanted to share something with you real quick, an experiment that I've been kind of working on, really just kind of picking at for years. And I could never get it quite right, but I had a little bit of a breakthrough, so just wanted to kind of pass it on. I know some other people are interested in how this works. So there's a long story that goes behind this and why I'm even doing it in the first place. I'm not gonna bore you with all that at the moment. I'll bore you with it later. If you're in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, I'm actually going to be doing a clinic on January 14th, 2010 at 2112 Percussion, downtown Raleigh. That's going to be the big release date for my drum set method book, which is just coming out. I'll tell you more about that later. But if you're going to be around, please do stop by and check that out, and I'll give you the whole big, long, drawn out story. And I'll also, I'll post video up here for anybody that's out of town that can't make it. So here's the short version. I was playing in a classic rock cover band, and like every tune has the same groove, like boom, chuck, boom, boom, chuck, boom, chuck, boom, boom, chuck. So I was just, if I do the same thing over and over, my head starts spinning off onto tangents, and I just start thinking way too much. So I started noticing that my smartest limb, my right hand, which should be able to do the most, is actually doing the dumbest job. It's just playing eighth notes, keeping time on the hi-hat. It's not really doing anything. So I'm thinking, okay, my left foot, my dumbest limb, is over there. Why don't I just keep time with the left foot? So I started playing around with that, letting the foot take more of the role of that hi-hat timekeeper. And then that kind of morphed into, well, what if I could keep a whole groove going just with my feet? And then my hands would be free to do other things. Like I've had a lot of projects where I'm kind of playing the role of the drummer and the percussionist. So if my feet can be the drummer, my hands can be the percussionist, and I can play other sounds, other rhythms, things like that. So the problem comes down to, how do you get a snare drum on your foot? And I couldn't get it to work out right for various reasons. But I finally had a little breakthrough into getting it. So I'll play a little so you can hear it first, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how I finally managed to make that happen. There we go. Okay. So yeah. Flip sides. Very good. Highly recommended. That's it though. Snare drum on the foot. So the things that kept me from being able to do it in the first place. One, the snare drum itself would wobble all over the place. Two, the bass drum pedal would wobble all over the place because it wasn't really connected to anything. It was just sitting there on the floor. And then the relationship between those two, trying to get the angle right where you can get a convincing kind of thwack on the snare drum. I couldn't really make it happen, and I gave up and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I finally kind of found the right combination of equipment to make it happen. Now I'm going to just pick this camera up and try to hold it as steady as possible, which is not very. But I'll put some still pics up on my blog, and you can take a look there and see a little better. But basically, here's what we're dealing with. What I found to make it happen was Pearl makes a little conversion kit to turn a floor tom into a bass drum. And all it is one of their ISS mounts that hooks onto the rim of the drum, and then it's got a little lip coming off of that for a bass drum pedal to hook onto. So that took care of the bass drum wobbling, or the pedal wobbling, because it actually has something to hook onto here. So that's going to keep it steady. The snare drum that I'm using is a little 13, I think it's like a 5x13. It's a tiny little drum. It's the one that comes with the again, Pearl Rhythm Traveler, I think they call it. It's the little mini kit that fits in a duffel bag. Really great for jazz gigs and stuff. But this is the snare drum from that one. So having a smaller snare drum kind of helps that from wobbling too much. I had always been trying it with a full size, 5.5x14, and it was just too big to be mounted vertically like that. So smaller drum with that Pearl mount. And then the other thing that I did different was, instead of using a single pedal, I put a double pedal on it. So the main pedal of the double has more mass than just a regular single pedal, so that helps stabilize the whole system a little bit. And then you can kind of see the slave pedal poking out there under the floor tom. That, having 2 points of contact on the ground, that makes it that much more stable again. So yeah, I'm not really having any wobbling going on, nothing out of control. I just hooked this up last night, so it's not, I haven't really put it through the paces yet or anything, but so far so good, Another thing that I did differently, you can kind of see it down there. I'm using a Regal tip cowbell beater on the bass drum pedal instead of a regular beater. I get the main one out of the way. There you go. They make that if you're using a cowbell or a woodblock on a Gahate bracket, you get a little more convincing sound out of it that way. All right, sorry if I'm giving you seizures here. There we go. Yeah, so I'm using that Regal tip cowbell beater. It gets it's a little more similar to a stick sound because it's got a smaller point of contact than a regular bass drum beater, and also being made out of wood is cool. I think they actually make those out of plastic now. Mine's an older one, so try it out, see what you can find. I know there's a lot of different implements you can stick into a bass drum pedal. Terry Bozzio has developed a lot of different things. One's like a lightning rod kind of thing that you can put in there, brush. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff out there. Experiment, But yeah, having that combination has seemed to work. A smaller drum using the Pearl mount, and then a double pedal instead of a single. And that also helps with positioning, because you can just kind of throw it off to the side somewhere. All you have to have is the slave pedal right next to your bass drum, and you can move back and forth pretty quick. If you get the same type of pedal for your main pedal and the double, you could even have two doubles, going one each way. But if it's the same kind, it's going to feel really similar, so you don't have too much of a transition there from playing one instrument to the other. So that seemed to work for me pretty well so far. So from there, the question becomes, so what? What do we do with this? And again, the idea is being able to fulfill that percussion role as well as the drum set role. So I've done what I always do when I start out with a technical issue. I broke out my copy of Stick Control and just put those patterns on top of just playing a simple rock groove on your feet underneath it. So here's a little bit of that just so you can see. I'm still working on this, but here's kind of how it goes.